Alright, we move into our second game of the Sonic 25th Anniversary Classic Sonic set here. And this is Sonic the Hedgehog, the original. In fact, this game is older, at least by release date, than the game that we were playing previously, the Game Gear version of Sonic. And oh my god, is this better. I'm not saying that the game's difficulty level has gotten easier or anything like that, but just the graphics quality and the bigger screen and not having to guess necessarily where things are. Like that Motobug, we knew exactly where he was coming from. You know, that's what I'm talking about as far as this. Now, Sonic the Hedgehog is considered the game that changed a lot of things. Besides opening up the market for platform titles against the previous dominance by Nintendo, Sonic really started using, what the consoles could do, and that was our 5-second look at the special stage. We needed 50 rings to get there, and we were there for 5 seconds. As you know from our success rate with Chaos Emeralds in the 8-bit game, I don't think that you're necessarily going to see us get all 8 Chaos Emeralds. I'm sorry. All 6 Chaos Emeralds. There are only a few games that have 8. Most games have 7. But it does bring a nice little continuity. There is no supersonic feature. In Sonic 1, there's also no spin dash, so you'll notice me just jumping around like I was doing in the 8-bit version. And at least there's some in-story fiction as for why Sonic couldn't go supersonic in this first game, and that's because there just aren't enough Chaos Emeralds. You need 7 of them. And 7 is just a totally random number. Always is. But now we're heading to Green Hill Act 3. Now, I did have some trouble in a couple places with odd jumps. Like there was one time that a Motobug was camped out next to a spring. And I couldn't get to the spring without touching the Motobug, which meant instant death based on the way I was landing. Now, in Sonic the Hedgehog games, the level design usually works out so that there's at least 2 paths and sometimes 3 paths to get from point A to point B. The top path is the most rewarding one, and the bottom path is kind of the easiest one to navigate through, but more likely to have enemies and such. We'll probably be spending a fair amount of time on the bottom path, just because, again, this is one of these games that I personally have not played much at all. In fact, hardly, other than like the first level of Green Hill Zone. I haven't played this game hardly any. So again, this is not going to be a speed run through here. Now this is the first Dr. Robotnik boss. Now in comparison to the Dr. Robotnik boss that we saw in the 8-bit game, he actually has a weapon, a ball, which you can avoid by standing under the platforms. Because if it hits you, and if you stand on the platforms, it will hit you. So I wouldn't recommend beating it the way that I did, because as you saw, I lost all my rings. A little more patience and a little better timing, and that wouldn't have been that big of a deal at all. And you'll see me learn from this, hopefully, when we get to the next boss of the early game, which is in the second zone, Marble Zone. Now, Green Hill is pretty obvious that they were referring to, the landscape. Marble Zone is referring to these ruins in the background, because they're probably made of marble. It has nothing to do with Sonic's ability to roll around as if he was a marble. And from what I understand, really good players of this game are very good manipulators of Sonic's ability to roll. You're not going to see me doing a whole lot of rolling simply because I'm just not comfortable enough with how to make it work. But one of the things about Sonic the Hedgehog is it was advertised to be a speed game. You know, that was its big gimmick. You know, Sonic can go a lot faster than other platform characters. And Green Hill Zone emphasized that fact. You know, the level was designed to get you in and out without too much trouble. Marble Zone is not designed for you to go fast at all. And you really, you know, now you have to be patient. This is far more platformery. You know, we're going to see spikes come from various places where we could be crushed. All kinds of problems that, you know, may not immediately say Sonic the Hedgehog to you. But here they are in the second level of the game. Now here, you can see that the walkways fall down from the top. However, at the end, it only drops that one block. And my jumping was not very precise here. This is a problem I also had with the 8-bit version. I really think it has to do with trying to use the analog stick on the Xbox 360 controller versus trying to use the D-pad. But the way my hands work, I'm just better off using the analog stick anyway. The D-pad would probably be more precise. But it would be harder on me to do. So, here we're playing around. And there we go. How about a death? Death is fun, right? Okay, so we're going to go back to this little checkpoint here, grab another shield, and we're going to have to make our way back through the little appearing walkways again. Now that death was because I was trying to figure out where the level was going after I had gotten on that small hammer. I figured I was going to have to go on the big hammer, but it was moving too quickly up for me to adjust. And so I got caught waiting for it to move, and that ended up killing me. Another thing about this level, these little bats that bounce around, they're pretty annoying because if there are multiple bats, which there always are, they'll choose different height levels to attack you with. So, you know, it won't just be one, it just won't be one bat or two bats coming at you at the same, you know, kind of the same rate, the same direction. No, they're going to try to come at you two different heights. These bats will reappear in other Sonic games, and they're arguably just as annoying even in later titles such as Sonic the Hedgehog 4 Episode 1. Here they are. There's one, and surprisingly only one. Again, they usually travel in pairs. Now, this section and sections like it gave me trouble because I kept running into trouble stopping the block. And that sets us up for this section. This is a race against the ever-encroaching lava, except that your pace gets cut so that you really have to jump carefully in order to get through that spike spot without getting hit. And as you can see, I did not manage to succeed in doing that. So, This is not looking like another Chaos Emerald attempt here. Now I'm trying to walk across these things. The lava pits aren't all that large, so that if you get hit, there's a good chance that you'll be able to get through the lava pit during the invincibility period. And now we come to another floating block part. Now, I just want to point this out for future reference. If you see me run into a secret, trust me, I didn't know it was there either. Or if you knew it was there because you had lots of knowledge in the level. See, what I'm supposed to do is ride that lava plume up, and I didn't. So then I went into the wall. I thought, oh, okay, that's interesting. And that's because it turns out that there is stuff back here. But, okay. But unfortunately, it means I need to ride the block all the way back over. Now, I don't know if I could have made the jump from there or not. I didn't try. Instead, I went to the process of going all the way back over to the beginning, losing all my rings in the process. Pushing the block here. And this is the block that triggers the lava plumes. The other block doesn't, for some reason. Because I really thought that I was just going to be able to sort of hop back over using the other block. Another nice thing about the Sonic the Hedgehog 16-bit versus the Sonic Hedgehog 8-bit is that your rings are actually recoverable when they jump away from you. I don't know if they were or not in Sonic the Hedgehog 8-bit, but I never had any success doing so. And there, I learned what a caterpillar is. We've seen those already in this level, but to kill them you have to hit their heads. If you hit their bodies, they'll die, but they'll also hurt you in the process. And now, we get to avoid lava shooties, which are a classic platforming problem. But you know, at this point, after all the work that we did inside, you know, I'm just kind of wanting to get to the end of the stage. And I'm finding the stage is deciding not to end. And as we free a couple more animals in the form of, you know, former bats. Now, if you time your jumps on this, you can bounce around to get even more bonus points for your score. But mostly, I just, you know, was trying to continue on here. Grab another shield. They are nice about giving you shields in this level to give you one more hit before you have to die. And since I know I can't hit the caterpillar but so many places, I'm a little careful about them. You can see that the timer right now, and I got lucky when that invincibility kicked in versus when that lava plume came down. You can see the timer right now is running close to 5 minutes. And 5 minutes is a little long for a normal Sonic stage if you know what you're doing. And at this point I still don't really know what's going on this level. But Marble is one of the slowest levels in the game. Things will pick up a little bit when we get to Spring Yard Zone, which is the next zone. And things will pick up a little bit more when we get to Starlight Zone, which is also later on. But Marble, Labyrinth, and Scrap Brain are not particularly designed to be speed levels. Which, again, seems antithetical to Sonic the Hedgehog, but this was the first outing of the franchise. The guys are really doing what they could with what they knew. And the improvement of Sonic 2 over Sonic 1 is going to have to do with how they handle speed, instead of speed being sort of a side thing here, or something that, you really have to get good at the game to be able to manipulate fully, it becomes a central feature of the game, particularly when they add the ability to charge speed at will with the spin dash. And they take away the speed cap. Evidently, Sonic can only go so fast in this game. Couldn't tell you what the speed cap is, or even if I've achieved it before, because we have to go ride a floating block again. In future adventures with a fox named Tails, and going faster, we'll just have to wait until we're done. And looked like I might have missed the escape there, but there was a second magma thingy. And now there's more spikes coming up out of the ground. So I'm trying to be careful not lose my shield. But given my track record, particularly with these things, because here we're having to do the opposite. When we climbed those once before, now we're having to avoid them going down. Well, nice things is you can stand next to the horizontal shield spike, or stand on top of it. But you can't stand next to it, obviously. It took away my shield. Fortunately, in the brief invincibility period, I ran into that caterpillar. But then I ended up losing all my rings here toward the end of the stage. And there's a checkpoint and another shield. So again, like I said, the game's trying to take care of you a little bit. But the same rules that applied to 8-bit Sonic the Hedgehog apply here. Sonic the Hedgehog, can be about a 50-minute game, start to finish, if you know what you're doing and you can go and maneuver through things. But it's supposed to be difficult enough that you would have to come back and it'd take multiple sittings to get through. It's just not quite as evil as the Game Gear version of the game, as far as all the little challenges that, intentional or not intentional, that come from the game. Now here, again, we went up, we went down, now we're going back up through the same sequence. So we got some resource duplication going on here. There's our friend the caterpillar. We're just going to jump over him this time. And, something that we're once again doing, and once again I'm sliding around on surfaces where probably shouldn't be sliding around. And again, I blame that on the controller and my own lack of skill with it. I don't think normal Sonic players worry about sliding on things. Although we get to Shadow the Hedgehog, we can talk about ice physics. So there we go, we get the extra life that was hidden in the place that we didn't know was there, even though it's designed sort of like the last place that we didn't know was there. And now we're going up again, like another one of these set pieces. Except that this time, this is the only time I was hit by those meteors, by the way, or the fireballs. This time we have to jump over these small platformy things to get to the end. One thing I didn't like about these, if you miss this jump, you won't die necessarily, but you will be sent back down to the bottom of the level, which is not where you just were, but actually a few sequences back from where you just were. And you can see I'm decided I'm going to make a real challenge of this and try to beat the boss with no rings. So here we go into the boss of Marble Zone. Now the boss of Marble Zone has his little gimmick what he does is he drops fire on one of the two platforms, making it unusable until the fire goes away. Now, what I use here is a patient strategy of hitting him and then moving it over to the platform that was just put on fire to be safe. Now, don't hit him while he's trying to shoot. You need to hit him while he's in transit from one side of the screen to the other. Because if you hit him while he's trying to shoot, he might actually hit you with the fireball he's just trying to drop down onto the stage. So here we go. We freed a lot more furry animals. And in the tradition of all great Sonic games, it's time to go gambling. So I'll see you again when we hit Spring Yard Zone Act 1. See you then.